now we should move on to the topic of the show.
Mm.
Jeremy, how did we name this one again?
Uh,
Because right now in the doc I've written, who do you 100% a game?
why did you write it like that?
Because you said it's already for us, remember?
When do you 100% a game? I think is what we decided.
When do you 100% a game?
I
Under what
preferred-
circumstances are you completing a game?
I preferred why.
Why are you 100%ing a game?
Yeah. Why do you 100% a game? Or why would you?
Jeremy, sometimes I don't 100% a
Yeah,
game.
yeah, why would you? Okay.
Yeah, why would you 100% a game?
Why the fuck would you, Gary?
All right, so who do you 100% a game? We've got a few subcategories here. And so we're gonna talk about like games that we have 100%ed in, but like what are the qualities of a game? I guess we're gonna talk about the qualities of a game that makes us that inspires us to complete it in
Yeah.
comparison to games that don't. That's sort of the general vibe of the conversation. So we're gonna start off with Jeremy. What was the last game you 100%ed?
I think it was Astro's Playroom.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
I've been
That was an easy platinum.
It was an easy platinum, and I've been trying to think of one that has happened since.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is anything.
Right. That's
I've-
fair. You're not you I mean, especially the last few years, you've been very, trying as many different things as you can kind of a vibe from you, I feel like.
Kinda. Like,
fair
not
to
so much
say.
recently, but like, yeah, like it's been very like, let's try some games that I might not have necessarily tried in the past. Like, like buying Gran Turismo 7, for example. Not exactly my wheelhouse, no pun intended, but like let's see what this has to offer, I guess.
Have you 100%ed Neon White?
No, not yet.
Okay.
There is
But you said you were going to. So that's on
Yes.
the list of
yes, it's
candidates.
yes, it will be one that I do before the end of the year. It will become one of my most recent. But also, I'm about 95% through 100% in Bloodborne.
You have been working on that.
And now that I have online connectivity back in my Bloodborne save, I can finally go back and do it.
You said you fixed that. Did you have to do anything, or was it just fixed?
No, I had to actively do some things. I had
Some cloud save shenanigans, or
Yeah, so there's this weird. It will sometimes lose connection to some of the online chalices that you generate, and then when that happens, it just errors out to the point that if you try and connect to if you try and load a save that like while the client is online, because you can decide to play it offline. Thank God you can decide to play it offline. The moment you
Babylon's Fall.
the moment you try and log in to the game, it will just boot you back out to the menu saying cannot connect to the Bloodborne servers. And so the way I had to do it is I had to change the state of the game in any way at all, upload that to the cloud save, and then download the cloud save, launch the game, while also all my chalices had been closed.
Interesting.
So close all the dungeons, and then I had to edit the state of the game, which means I just went to a random NPC and killed them. One that I knew I was done with.
Couldn't you have just killed an enemy and gotten a different soul count, and that would have?
I don't think that was enough. I like everyone everyone on Reddit was saying like, yeah, like just go in and just kill a random NPC. I think there had to be a reason the game had to update.
Interesting.
That's
fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it ended up working first try for me, which doesn't work for everyone, but it worked for me. So then I can load up the cum dungeon, and get 85,000 souls immediately.
I don't think I've heard this particular term from you before, Jeremy. Would you like to elaborate?
There's a chalice dungeon, and they all
Yeah.
have seeds, which are like the string which determines the generation of the dungeon.
Yeah.
And there's one where if you type in the word "come" with 4 M's and then FPK at the end, it's a glitched dungeon where the moment you walk in, like 15 seconds later, you get 82,000 souls, and you can just refresh that dungeon over and over and over again to get like millions of souls.
Oh my
I know,
that's
and
disgusting.
the gift to the Souls community is that one has got the word "come" in it with 4 M's.
Is it the only one?
It's the most. It's as far as I'm aware, it's the single most efficient way to get souls.
That is so funny.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, so advertiser unfriendly. Oh my god.
No, we don't have
So
advertisers.
funny.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Become Dungeons back online.
So games that I've 100% most recently. Oh god. My most recent. So it was interesting. I don't know that I've 100%ed a game that wasn't on PlayStation anytime recently. Not really 100%ing anything on my Switch. I haven't 100% anything on my Xbox. I don't really do it on PC. Sam, I'm just gonna in Twitch chat. I think it might be on a bit of a delay. You might want to refresh your browser. But in terms of games that I've platinumed most recently, which is my best indicator of when I've completed something, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was the most recent thing I completed, and that was really close to release. That was June or July last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a full year since I've done something like that, I think. Yeah, that's right. But that was a great platinum. Insomniac are really good with their platinums. Before that was Ghost of Tsushima, and then before that was Final Fantasy VII. I did that one a number of months after it finished, and then before that was Astro's Playroom. It might not quite have been that that order, but something like that. But yeah, Ratchet and Clank was a good platinum.
You didn't have to 100% that game to get the platinum, though, did you?
So that's the thing, and that sort of leads me to a question I had.
It's not
and
the
I'm
same
not
thing.
sure.
It's not the same thing.
Pardon?
I don't think it's the same thing.
I agree, right? So, and this sort of blends with our next subheading, which is what is the desire to 100%. And so the question, sort of a question I had that I thought of with the Ratchet Platinum, it reminded me of the Spider-Man for PS4 Platinum.
Yeah.
And how that was the like one of the most common platinums that people have gotten, because it's really not that hard. There's like 50 photograph locations that aren't that noticeable to you, but then at the end, at the final gadget you get at level 50 is like a find the photo opportunity thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, right? Because you can look at a platinum trophy list or a trophy list or an achievements list, and you could be like, oh, that's an easy platinum. And then the game can have things underneath it that you actually can do that are more completion markers than what the achievements allow for.
Yeah.
But if you go back 10 years or more, 15 years to the advent of achievements, and you start looking at all those achievements, and they do account for every thing, or they give you, if it's Gears of War, for example, they think a real achievement in that game is killing 10,000 people in the multiplayer. That's an achievement. That's a mark of you doing something in the game.
Or 2 million enemies in the campaign.
Right. That is so many.
I think it was either 2,200,000. It was a lot. It was like one that you would work on for years.
Yep. So then it becomes this weird thing of like there's been this trend in the last 5 years to make platinum trophy lists, or trophy lists rather, and platinum trophy requirements less demanding than needing to 100% a game.
And I feel like that's only really in Sony first party. All the third party games, for the most part, still just do literally everything.
I don't know if that's true. For instance, Final Fantasy VII Remake, there isn't a trophy to get all of the manuscripts, which are the things that give you like character level points in hard mode.
Right.
They're the only way to level up your character once you get past level 50. They're the only way to upgrade your weapons. That's something I haven't gotten all of. I'm missing 2, because there's alternate paths you can take in Chapter 9, and you can only get those manuscripts by playing in hard mode. So you have to play that chapter multiple times in hard mode. And I
Yeah,
I
right.
had to play that chapter over and over for the trophy list, and I didn't get those manuscripts along the way. And I was like, I'll come back to that later. Never did. But I got the platinum.
Right.
Did I complete the game or did I not complete the game? Everyone's full level except for Cloud, who's missing 2 manuscripts.
Yeah, right.
So it's a weird.
Like I feel like you know, all the Ubisoft games are like 100% it. Just Cause, like, by and large, open world games do everything. It is do all the side quests, get all the collectibles, do all the missions, do
Register all the vehicles.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like that tends to be the 100% checklist.
True. In a Ubisoft game, though, they will give you more and more ways in-game to track all of those things. So it's easier to get that stuff in-game without going to a guide.
Yes, definitely. They cater to the people that want to do that, I think, is a fair assessment. Same with like Bethesda games as well. You know, it's like, you know, it takes multiple runs, but it's like, yeah, like, you know, do this entire quest line, do this entire quest line, do this entire quest line, do this entire quest line.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, get this kind of ending. Yeah, it's interesting. So this question, what is the desire to 100%? I remember it depends a lot of the time on like my mood. You know what I mean? Like I 100%ed Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
I did all of Black Flag, I think.
Yeah, and part of that's because Ubisoft game, it was actually quite easy to find all of the chests and all of the diving locations.
And all the shanties.
All of the shanties and all the pirate ships and all the locations. They made it accessible for you to do. Even more so in Syndicate, I feel. Like they just gave you all the information to complete the game. But that was a very like, I just finished high school, it's summer, I'm at home a lot.
Yeah.
Playing the game a lot. Kind of a thing. Like I'm playing this, listening to podcasts, watching Northern Lion on my other monitor, just playing and playing and playing and playing until it's done. Sort of like how I mentioned playing Final Fantasy 13 before, right? And how I tried the side quests, and I actually remember quite enjoying those when I was younger. And playing them yesterday, I started going to sleep because like there's actually not that much content in terms of what's actually happening. It's pretty boring. It's not that actively engaging.
Yeah.
And so to make myself do all of those at this point, I'm like, fuck, why would I bother? Why would I waste my time?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know, I don't want to do all of that really boring stuff. I like having a completion metric. I like having you have experienced what this game has to offer milestone that isn't an exhaustive, cataloging, encyclopedic checklist that's absolutely a pain in the ass to complete.
Which is funny because I think Ubisoft are the ones that began the trend of fuck, this has got a lot of collectibles. Because it goes back to the fucking feathers in Assassin's Creed 2. Right? That was one of the biggest, like, there's 100 collectibles.
And you don't know where they are?
There's 100 feathers in this game. That's crazy. And now I'm playing the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, and there's 1,000 bricks to collect. And they are it's across 9 movies of locations. But a brick is find a kyber brick in a building or do a puzzle to do it or a side quest.
So is it sort of taking place of where you would have found the mini kits in previous games?
No, so mini kits are still there. There's only 5 in our level now, as opposed to, I think there used to be 10.
Yes.
But like instead of the, you know, there was like the true Jedi meter that you would build up as you collect studs and you build that up throughout a level. So now there's 3 levels of true Jedi, and each one of them will get you another brick. There are many more reasons now to give you bricks, but it is funny to get the first one and see 1 out of 1,163 or something.
Save me.
And like, it's also very funny to enter like some of the more populated and larger areas that are open world, like Coruscant, for example, and have the brick detector turned on and have your entire screen bombarded with locations of brick. And so in those areas, I just turn that back off,
Yeah.
go about my way until I've made my way through maybe a section until I can finally piece it together. The desire to 100%, however, I think for me comes from a reason to play the game that I love more.
Yeah.
Which I think that is not dissimilar to you with Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, all of these games. Ratchet, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Astro.
I might wager that maybe Ratchet and Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man maybe not, but Ratchet and Ghost of Tsushima, you looked at the list of the required 100% collectibles and went, actually, I can manage that.
Yeah. Like, that is doable. I could have fun doing this.
As opposed to, I want any reason to play more of this game.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Because you didn't 100% those games.
True.
You did the platinum, which is the...
I don't think I've really ever had that drive to go that hard.
Yeah.
Except for when I was younger and you could play Ratchet and Clank over and over with the challenge mode. I did that a lot.
Mm.
And there was like one gold bolt I couldn't get.
Whereas maybe this is a different kind of comparison, but so I am going for the platinum of Bloodborne, I will say. That evens out to being basically 100%. And so the difference is there's a lot of duplicate weapons which are of a higher grade but are the same weapon.
Right.
And I don't know if I'd count that.
So you've experienced the weapon.
Yes, it's the exact same weapon. It is just a higher level and it's got a different name.
You just haven't collected it from that spot in that place for this challenge.
It is the, as opposed to the saw blade, it is the uncommon saw blade. Right, it is literally just a higher grade. So I'm gonna go for the platinum. I'm gonna do all the stuff, but what if I played it as a different class?
You could do that.
What if I played the entire thing again after the platinum, just in a different run altogether?
You could do that.
What if I use trick weapons?
So then you have to ask yourself what the definition of 100% is.
Yeah.
Do you have to complete a run as every class? Do you have to complete the run with every type of weapon? Do you have to complete the run as with every different face structure type in the character creator?
The answer to all of those, the answer to all of those is no. But I think it's about experiencing the content. Rather, it is completing the content, I believe, is what 100%ing is. To me. For example, the Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, you have Jiminy Cricket's journal to chronicle everything that is happening in the game. And that also doubles as your collectibles list. It doubles as your mini-games list. And if you've got the pass score on all the mini-games, as well as...
It's your stats page.
It's your everything.
It's your journal.
And the 100%ing that is what gives you the 100% in it. That being said, there are a couple of things that are not in there, but I think you still need them to do other things anyway, so they don't track them. But it's they're it's hard to determine what 100% is. Some games don't even allow you to get to 100%, like Just Cause 2.
Yeah, because that game's broken.
Yeah, that game's bugged.
There's a So I was looking at Persona 5 Royals Platinum list at the moment. A very high percentage of people have that Platinum, by the way, because I think a lot of people who have Royal are the people who already love 5.
Yeah.
And they're so bought in. It's a pretty achievable list. There's not too many things you can miss. Stuff like get a perfect result on your school exams, I'm a bit worried about because I haven't done that yet. And that's a thing that's they're set,
Yeah.
I can't just take another one when I want to. That happens on that date. And it's things like most of the ones I've got left is defeat the optional very difficult boss in Mementos and go to the maid cafe a few times. I was like, I don't want to do that. But then in Persona 5 Royal, they also have this thing called the Thieves' Den, which is a place where you can go and like you earn tokens throughout the game that you can only spend in this place. And what you spend them on is things like concept art and soundtrack like things. And then you can, when you buy soundtrack for like 2 and you end up with hundreds by the end of the game for like 2 of the tokens, then you can set it as the music for the Thieves' Den when you're in there, or you can just listen to it when you want to. You can unlock all the different models and display them in the middle of the Thieves' Den of like final bosses of dungeons or places that you go to in the world and stuff like that. And it's exhaustive. And in that place, there are specific medals that you can find for doing X number of things, like ambushing enemies 50 times. Like it's sort of that kind of thing. Because of that, there's like 50, 60 checkboxes like that. And those are exhaustive. They are absolutely... I think there are things in there that I've hardly touched or I've done once or I haven't even done and I'm not interested in doing. But it has a very achievable platinum.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And I've experienced a lot of that game, but I don't want to grind out finding every persona and getting a max 99 level this and like going through the side quests for the twins because I don't care about it that much. And like it's strange.
Yeah,
when
it is strange.
We've got these sort of dueling definitions.
Because the platinum is kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, it's also modern. Like, it's new. It's not something that happened 15 years ago.
Yeah, but like the 100% is also like, well, like maybe they should have stopped at the platinum for collecting some of this stuff. Yeah,
that's true. Like, so... I think, and that's a perfect segue, I think, into what turns you off 100% in games. You know, it can be, I think back to before we had trophies. I think back to something like Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker, you know, Zelda games. And you'd finish the game and you'd have like 16 hearts out of 20. And, you know, you'd have upgraded your bow quiver once and you'd have found a bunch of heart pieces, but you only had like 3 out of 5 in that moment and you knew there were more. And
sure.
Just stuff like that. And it's like, I know I can find stuff, but I've been playing this game and doing things. I don't necessarily know where to look. And to the idea for me of just playing and hoping I find stuff and hoping I remember things that maybe I forgot along the way, or combing every single part of every single map and still missing stuff because there's some secret that I don't think to look at this certain way. That gets pretty tiresome for me pretty quickly. Like within a couple, like say I finished Twilight Princess and I'm like, oh, I know I've got this side quest and I got this to do. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do next. That moment of, oh, I don't know what to do next, that only takes me so far most times.
Did that used to happen to you when you were a kid as well?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of even more so, right? Because back then, like, it was a big deal if I finished a game because maybe it got hard or I didn't know how to beat it, or maybe I got too scared of a Zelda boss. That happened with me with Twilight Princess again. Or I was 12 playing that, but there's these really creepy hands at the end of one of the final dungeons. Yeah, like that. And it freaked me the hell out. And it's funny because a friend of mine asked me to come over to his place and help him with a spider boss that I had no trouble with, you know, it's stuff, shit like that. But point being, yeah, like if I got less hooked, I'm going to come back to it again for like the third time. That Final Fantasy 13 story from playing yesterday. Like you got me to the point of like, I'm just playing now.
Right.
I think the only thing that can keep me hooked at that point is the gameplay has to be fantastic. And that's why I did it for Assassin's Creed 4 and Black Flag and 2. I've done it with 2 twice. Like, it's that kind of... Unless the gameplay is stellar and I just love doing all of the things every second, like I love running and attacking and jumping. If you've made the base verbs of that game enjoyable to do, then like it won't take me much to go 100% it. But if I enjoy the gameplay well enough, but need a bit more motivation to keep going, then I'm probably not going to do it, right? Like first Horizon game, when I beat it, I was done. Well, before I beat it, I was done, and I had to come back to it.
Mm. Yeah,
Red Dead Redemption 2. You know, I've been meaning to come back to it, but the active verbs of that game, a lot of that is like clean horse and go to sleep and put your hat on. Like,
which is what pulled me through that game.
it was like it's immersion.
It was the simulation aspect of it.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption is the best cowboy simulator.
Definitely. And that was fun for a bit. But then when I died, or like I ran my horse into a tree for the 5th time, or I had to do another ride from Strawberry to fucking I don't know where, and it took 15 minutes. Like I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I miss that. Which is interesting. But I also 100% at Horizon.
Yeah. That's funny. You're there for the vibes.
Actually, sorry, let me rephrase that. I platinumed Horizon. There's a lot of meaningless collectibles in Horizon.
Don't know what you're talking about.
That you just ignore completely.
I can't believe you didn't visit every machine site and visit every campfire. I
did every campfire. Because
I'm sorry.
Well, no, like it was fine because I did it over a playthrough, but I didn't seek out everyone. I just happened to do it as I was doing all the 100% stuff. And I think by the end I had 2 that I didn't have. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go get them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the things that put me off, are meaningless tasks. Taking a while, but I also, when I was younger, I was one to just play through again to find new things. I don't know how many hours worth of me exploring the streets of New Mombasa in Halo 3 ODST because I was looking for secrets.
Yeah.
I was looking for Easter eggs. I know how to glitch that game. I know how to position I know how to position the mongoose and get a buddy in co-op and stand and look and jump so that we keep bumping each other up to glitch out of the arenas to get into rooms that you're not supposed to be in. We used to do it for hours. I played through Halo Reach a million times trying to trigger a legendary ending that doesn't exist. Even Ratchet and Clank, the originals on PS2, I would spend hours in that looking for secrets and Easter eggs, and that was back in the day where skill points in that game were tricky, and also I didn't know what they were. There was a riddle description, and
you had to do very specific things on specific planets,
and it was my job to figure out what they were, and so it would me just trying to be there solving a puzzle. And just having entire play sessions. And I'm like, didn't get it.
I think those PS2 Ratchet games are some of the best to complete.
I think so. And I think that was what sort of primed me for enjoying the riddle. Enjoying, spinning that Rubik's Cube and trying to find out how to make a face of the same color.
Yeah.
Whereas I think now there is less riddle in 100%ing things. It's not a puzzle to be solved. It is hours spent.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of tricks, right? We've seen a lot of what the games industry has to offer in terms of things to do.
Yeah, and I think in the AAA space, modern games have a lot of bloat.
Definitely.
And a lot of things that if you cut it, the game is probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
There are less things
Runtime is important and this and that.
There are less things that you need to do, and so you're not as distracted. I don't need base building in a Fallout game. And yet, some people like it. That's cool. That being said, I don't think it really adds much to it. And creates an entire new set of time and work that people then need to put into support that feature to make people like you and me included feel like it's worth doing because
Yeah.
our time is more limited than ever, and you need
But
things
they
to
want it.
and they're fucking buying for it, and they need a reason to make everything feel like you need to do it. So yeah, I think like any important features will make me not want 100% a game. An excruciating amount of collectibles will not make me want 100% a game. And of course, the old multiplayer achievements will not make me want to complete a game, 100% a game.
And Jeremy, I think that is an excellent segue into our final subheading here. Worst 100% offenders.
I think the Naughty
Again,
games are up there.
Pardon?
Naughty Dog games, I think, are up there.
Naughty Dog's trophy lists for everything in the PS3 were awful. They were the worst. They were some of the absolute worst trophy lists I've ever seen. It's just stuff like 20 kills with this gun, 20 kills with that gun, 10 kills with this one, 25 kills with this one. But then they also had multiplayer trophies in there, like non-negotiable ones that you need for the platinum, which is like not everyone has internet access. Not everyone enjoys the multiplayer. Not everyone's good enough at it to get that stuff.
And then the servers
Some
go
of it
down.
was like play with a Naughty Dog dev, right? And like, you can't control that. You just have to play.
Yep.
Like, that's awful. But then, like, The Last of Us as well, they had some multiplayer ones in there, but the single player ones are dreadful. They're absolutely awful.
Yeah.
You play through that game the whole way, and your trophy list is like 20% complete. And it's like, what? What? How am I? When was I supposed to get any of the rest of these?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Gears of War that I mentioned before is pretty historically awful.
I don't know if as multiplayer ones aside, I kind of respect the ridiculousness of it.
The Sisyphean task.
Yeah, because it comes all the way around, right? It is the circle all the way back into like, no, actually, all right. Like you're going for something fucking stupid, because they did it in the first one. It was called like it was called like Extermination or something in the first one, and in the second one it was the exact same name for the exact same thing except twice as many, and they just called that achievement 2.0.
I think it's called Seriously.
Yes, Seriously ... And then it was Seriously 2.0 was the one for Gears of War 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sure there was one in 3 as well. That's hilarious.
Yes, the Seriously achievement is back in Gears of War Remaster 7 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious, and I also think that speaks directly to Cliffy. I think that's very, like, that's a him thing. I think
there's part of it, it's like, that makes sense. That actually is like something that not everyone's going to do, and that's actually quite impressive, and you put a lot of time into it, and you should be recognized if you get that far. That makes sense.
And that's what Horde mode is there for, right? Like that's the incentive to play their wave-based mode. And that's you'd feel fucking great after you got it. The relief. Surely relief that you would probably then want to not play that game for quite a while, but a genuine like, fuck, I did it. If I played with someone who's got it, I would be impressed. I'd be very impressed
totally.
that they got it.
Killed 10,000 people in versus competitive matches. This is before Horde mode in the first game.
Sure. Yes. I think Bloodborne's got a really good trophy list.
Yeah.
It's get the 3 endings, which is definitely the hardest.
Yep.
Because it means 3 full playthroughs. But aside from that, it's all really manageable, I think, is the way to do it.
I would say the same of Elden Ring's list. It's a lot of beat X boss. A lot, like, I'd say 75% of the list is beat a boss.
Sure.
And so that takes you to a lot of the main areas to go, a lot of the bespoke areas. So obviously all of the rune bearers, all of the shard bearers, that means you get through all the story. There's a couple that's like, do this ending, do that ending, do a third ending. But
Sure.
not all the endings, which is good.
Right.
And then stuff like pick up every legendary weapon and armament. and like those are really specific. But I would say you could probably do all of that and have experienced only 60% of the game. You know what I mean? In terms of every weapon and fought every enemy and opened
and
every chest and
the plot lines between characters as well. Like, I doubt they'd have trophies because they never have trophies in the Souls games.
well, they're so specific. Those are missable, you know, where it's like, oh, you've progressed this far in the story, and so now this character's over there, and or rather, you'll never meet this character here, so you don't get the chance to be friends with them now, or something bullshit. Yeah. Worst 100% offenders. What else? Naughty Dog games are Gears games. A lot of early achievement lists, definitely. But in terms of 100%ing before achievements or irrespective of achievements, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I would say, is up there in terms of actually 100%ing it.
I think that's that's more due to the nature of that game, though.
Yes,
right?
I agree. But it would definitely be an absolute. I would say it's a worst 100% offender.
Yeah, right.
Sam has a suggestion in here, and I think it's more apt than you realize, Sam. GTA is, I think, really hard. Like, irrespective of achievements, their collectibles are so obscure and hard to find in so many of them. Like, sometimes it's just a piece of paper or like pigeons that like have like a little glow on them, but the whole world's grey, so you can't see anything.
Yeah,
like
right.
GTA's 100%ing is so bad. Or Minecraft, I don't know how you would 100% Minecraft.
It's boring. Because
it's like craft everything.
I don't think it's everything because there's in-game achievements in Minecraft. But the thing is, the Minecraft achievements are bad because it's a tree. And so you can miss achievements, which will then lock out other ones because you haven't done the early one first. So it's do like a wooden one of all of these tools, and then a stone one, then an iron one. But like if you do like a bunch of stone tools and you don't do the wooden one first for whatever reason, which you might not, because you can go immediately to stone, you then might do a bunch of stuff without realizing you haven't got the earlier one first.
Yeah.
And then hours later, you'll make a wooden hoe to do a random thing really quick and then realize you popped an achievement and be like, what the fuck? Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's bad that you can't get those out of order.
Mm.
But I remember on the 360 when that game came out, there was a weird achievement for traveling, like I think it was 400 meters by minecart.
Yeah.
And it fucking took forever.
So much iron.
It was so much work. Like a ridiculous amount of work, especially back then.
That was one of the first Achievement Hunter videos for Minecraft, wasn't it? Like their second or third one was setting up a rail.
Yeah, it was the reason they started to play that game, because there was a reason to. Yeah, I think Vampire Survivors has got a great achievement list.
Slowly creeping up the top of your list.
Ooh.
It's coming back.
We're
coming back.
It's not going to reach the highs of Neon White for me, but fucking hell is it close.
It's got the endurance.
Oh, it does. It really does. I keep coming back to it.
It's the kind of... I didn't think we'd still be talking about it in July.
Uh-huh. So,
yeah. It's interesting. I don't think I 100% of the game before achievements.
Really? Not even Ratchet and Clank or...
No, maybe Ratchet and Clank. I think that's the sole exception, is Ratchet and Clank maybe 2 and definitely Ratchet and Clank 3.
Not an Aragon in there? Not an Aragon in sight?
You know, I did 100%.
I gotta stop bringing it up.
I did 100%. I'm so glad you do, because like
it
it's
keeps
got to the
accidentally
point where
becoming relevant.
Oh my god, Sam just said fuck, it's July.
Yeah.
That's very funny. Yeah, like I did 100% Aragon. That game was too easy to 100% though. Like there's 16 levels and there's one collectible in each of them. And once I realized that, I'm like, oh, I could do that. That was one I was glad to do, because 100%ing it was relatively easy and I could figure it out myself. Whereas even the Ratchet and Clank games, that was probably one of the first times I looked up a walkthrough myself. When we were playing Wind Waker, when Dan and I were playing Wind Waker, Dan actually printed out the game FAQ. I don't know if it was from GameFAQs, but we had like this bundle of stapled sheets of paper that got more and more crinkled of like secrets to find and like what to find in each quadrant and stuff like that.
Did you ever 100% any of the Lego games? Because they were a big one for me to 100%. Just like get all the characters, do all the mini kits and everything.
See, that's kind of what I was talking about before, right? Whereas like, you know, once it gets to the like I've done this before, or like I don't always love this gameplay 100% of the time, or like that's enough now.
Yeah.
Like
for me, it was always
like I played those games heavily. I played them a lot, but I never got either of them to 100%.
It's for me. It was always finding out because there was always a secret character. There was always a fun final character. In the first one, I believe it was Han Solo because the first Lego Star Wars game was the prequels.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Vader and it was Leia, I believe.
Yeah. Because at the end of that, when you 100%ed, you unlocked like
a tiny
first
level.
mission of 4.
Yeah, but it was a different version of it. But yeah, it was.
But it was a teaser. But that's basically what it was.
Yes, yeah, it was the attack on Tantive.
Yes.
Whereas the one for Lego Indiana Jones, when 100% of that game, it was Han Solo.
Oh,
because it's Harrison
with a blaster.
Ford. Yeah, it was the only blaster in the game because it was Han Solo. Harrison Ford.
Strange.
Yeah, it's funny.
Sam says in the chat, which games were too easy to 100% like Aragon was?
I think a lot of indie games are.
Yeah.
Just because they are shorter and also have less, like they're not there to be replayed and replayed and replayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they are easy to 100%.
Yeah. Also, like games that phone it in, like at the end of the day, Aragon was a movie tie-in game.
Yeah.
Those games were made quick. They were made cheap. They were made probably with a whole lot of crunch, and they weren't especially great. Kind of without exception, there really weren't that many good movie tie-in games, except for the Spider-Man games, I think. Even then, it might have only just been 2. Like, so a lot of those, a lot of the ones where they were made too quick to be made well.
Yeah.
This is a fun discussion.
Sam's also 100% Untitled Goose Game. I don't think I did. I think I did. If I didn't, I was close, but I might have. I
think
don't
that
quite
one would
remember.
be pretty easy. Rather, I don't feel like there would be that many things to do. There'd just be a number of head scratches, and then
yeah, I think there was one or two that I was like, I think I knew the idea that I had to do, but I didn't quite know how to execute it, and I got kind of stuck. I think the most egregious game that I did 100% was Arkham City. That being said, I had a really fun time doing all the riddles. I looked up only a handful of them, and I figured the rest out, and it was like was great. It was good fun.
I judge myself when I can't do puzzles and get angry at myself, so I don't gel well with that kind of gameplay. But yeah, as soon as you said Arkham City, I'm like, wow, there's so much to do in that. Oh, the Riddler trophies!
Yeah, I did all the Riddler trophies, and then I put in New Game Plus, did it all again.
Why?
Because you gotta. I think there was an achievement for getting 100% in New Game Plus.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wait, but did you do it first and then do New Game Plus?
Yeah.
You found you 100% of it and then 100% of it.
I believe so. Either that or 100% it on 2 platforms. I definitely did it twice. I definitely did it once on PC and once on PlayStation 3.
I feel ill.
That was good fun.
An egregious 100%. I don't know that I really did one of the. Actually, no. I finished Just Cause 2 as well as I could.
Oh, really? You did the 96.8, whatever it is.
I got it to 99.6 something, which isn't
Yeah.
as high as you can get it when it's glitched and broken. You can get it to 100%. But I didn't I got it bloody close. I got it real close. But the thing with that game is there are like resources that you can collect.
Yeah.
And when you're close to it, like a radar pops up, like a little Wi-Fi bar. And the closer you get to it, it's like, 2 bars strength, 3 bars, 4 bars, 5 bars. It's close. And all of the ones of those that are in cities and villages and locations are tied to the completion of that location. So like, there's a thing you haven't blown up in this place. It's only 93% complete. You blow up that thing, it's 100%. Or, you're in this village. There's only 4 resources to collect here. You pick up 1, 25% complete. You pick up 4, 100% complete. There are resources in this world between the villages that aren't tracked anywhere. And so you don't actually really know where to look. And so I did all of the villages. That's what I did. I did every single village. And then I did, and then I just left it at that, which was a lot. So I was only missing like 100 or 200 resources out of like 2,400, I think. And I did everything else, blew up everything else besides that. Did all the races.
Right.
That was fun, and I loved returning to that one again and again. But it is egregious.
Yeah. I think I think maybe the best 100% that I've done was maybe Mario Odyssey.
Oh.
I think just because like I just love that game very much.
Did you get 999 with that, or 900 or whatever it was?
Yep. And I enjoyed basically doing all of it. There was a handful of ones that I'm like, this is kind of weird and kind of a bit dumb and a bit like obtuse. But for the most part, I'm like, what is this? And it's like, mound in the desert. I'm like, all right, let's fucking trek through the desert and try and find a mound, huh?
Yeah, when I beat the game and they start unlocking take a screenshot of this photo and try and find it, I'm like,
that's so fun because it's like a different perspective on the place that I love.
Yeah, but like spending that much time to do like next to nothing,
that being
I
in the world.
I couldn't handle it. I did the darker side of the moon or whatever it was, and then I was pretty content to call it there.
You do the darkest side?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I did the really hard stuff.
Made me cry.
Why it's so hard?
No, because there's that bit with Cappy. There's that introspective bit where it's like, there's that moment where Cappy's talking and then like the music kind of turns into this melody, and Cappy's like we've been through a lot together, huh? And it's just like he starts like reflecting on the journey. Do you get to that bit?
Probably.
It was like the nicest thing a Mario game has ever done. Was like Cappy basically thank you for going on this really wonderful and wild journey with you.
What about the end of Super Mario 64 when Mario says, "Thank you so much for playing my game"?
Yeah, same thing. Bawled my eyes out.
I like the idea of the darker side of the moon just being so hard.
Yeah.
that you're like, I can't do it. It's too much.
You cry.
Yeah, that game for you was like not only was it a 10 out of 10, but it was like the most glowing, radiant, perfect. Like it just hit you at the perfect moment, right?
I still think it's the best.
For
Switch
me,
game.
it was just like an 8.
For me, I still think it's the best game on Switch.
Yeah, I'm just like I've forgotten so much of that game. I find that game so milquetoast in so a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, for me that it's and I know what you're going to say, but it's the best 3D Mario.
You haven't played any of them.
I have.
Yeah, you haven't finished a lot of them.
Finished half of them.
I think what got me about it was like I felt like it was the this comes back full circle.
No.
I felt like it was the Assassin's Creed 100% cleanup phase from the start of the game. You know what I mean? Like I felt like it was such such an open world gamified game. It was a game TM. You know what I mean? I just saw the design throughout the whole thing. I'm like, oh, do this.
yes.
And, oh, they're making it harder here. And
Like, while, yes, also it was
So no.
all done with love and care, I think is the thing.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
yeah.
like Assassin's Creed is like, they're like, and there's just like 80 more collectibles like splattered all over the wall.
It's like the you know the popcorn ceiling, the popcorn cement ceiling.
It's
where
exactly like that.
Where they just shoot cement at the roof and hope it
Yes.
sticks.
Yeah.
What a weird way to do things.
Yeah.
Hear that, Ubisoft? Let's end the podcast.